Good morning. You know what time it is? It's coffee time. That's right. I'm author Michael Sanchez. How's everyone doing today on this beautiful Tuesday morning? It's beautiful out there. The sun is out and leaves are falling slightly. Very nice out there. While I am here, I'm enjoying my coffee. Rennie sits there just staring at me, wondering what's going on. Anyway, it's been a nice beginning of the week so far. Not too bad. How you doing, Lala? How's it going over there? I'm excited today. I got Paul Vecchiet, the author of The Disclosure Paradox Salvation. He'll be here talk about his work. Had him here before. I don't know if it was during when I was in Blog Talk Radio, so it's been a while, I believe. So we'll see. We can get him in here and uh, talk about things, talk about his work, and see what he's been up to. Lala, so you all good, huh? Hey, Paul, I'm gonna bring you in here in a sec. Anyway, again, about those Phillies, what happened to them, huh? They're long gone now. What a shame. Hey, what are you gonna do? Now I have to watch my Flyers, see where they go. Anyway, let's see if we can get Paul in here and learn more from him. Hey, Paul, you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you nice and clear.
Great.
How
Good
you
morning.
been? It's been a while.
I'm doing well. Um, we are teleworking because they are replacing our carpet at our office. So for 2 weeks, I'm teleworking, which is a good opportunity to have a call with you.
Nice, nice, nice. I think the last time we spoke, was it on Blog Talk Radio?
Yeah, no, it was on here on Podbeam,
Was it?
and it was somewhere either end of February, early March.
Wow, time flies. Time does fly. Wow. So how
Yeah,
you been?
doing good. Lots of lots of extracurricular stuff. My wife is opening a bakery, so I've been helping her with receiving equipment and getting it off the pallets. And I've designed the addition for our house, so I'm working with contractors on that. And then my full time work, I'll be going to the Middle East in November.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
You there?
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. The Middle East, huh? How often you go over there? You visit?
I was there September. For another project. So this is another project. This one is about a $400 million project for the Kuwaitis. So I'll be
Nice.
going to Norway also for the same project in February, I believe.
Nice. Well, you're going at a very interesting time, especially with what happened yesterday. It was amazing to see that. So
Oh yeah,
yes, wow. All right. So tell the audience about your book, The Disclosure Paradox Salvation.
sure. The Disclosure Paradox equal to the first book, The Disclosure Paradox. And the interesting thing is that after I self-published two books, The Disclosure Paradox and What Doesn't Kill Her, I didn't have much of a success with the books, so I didn't really intend to write a third book. What happened was a former Benedictine priest searched on Google extraterrestrials and spirituality, found he friended me, and he told me, you know, what's missing from this book is the Shroud of Turin. I would like to see that. And with that, he sent me, you know, in bits, at least over 100 documents of research papers from all over the world of researchers that authenticate the Shroud of Turin. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So I started reading it, and I thought, wow, this actually could make for a good sequel. And I sent him an outline. He liked it. And then I sent him 6 months later the manuscript, and he loved it to the point where he's actually written the foreword for the novel. He's been doing research on the Shroud for over 40 years. He's very well known. His name is Joseph Marino, and he's written actually 9 books on the Shroud. He's also the president of the Shroud Research and Education Association. So he's very well known in the circles. And essentially what I've done is in the sequel, it is a conspiracy to steal the Shroud, and it involves an insider in the Vatican. Starts out with a murder, and it's an insider in the Vatican who teams up to gain revenge on the Vatican with bad extraterrestrials, because they want the Shroud because of the blood, which has been shown not to be entirely human, although it's close to AB positive, and for the DNA, so that they can weaponize it and use it against good forces. So that's essentially the storyline, but there's a lot of twists and turns that happen in there with characters that have appeared in the first book.
Wow.
It turns out that one of the characters, Robert Ladd, who is a former ranger, and he's a security consultant, he finds out that long-lost war buddy who contacted him disappears. And it's the war buddy that gets murdered in the Vatican. He was in security in the Vatican. And so Robert gets curious and eventually goes to Rome and to the Vatican to try and find out what happened to his buddy. And in the course of finding out what happened to his buddy, he discovers this plot to steal the Shroud.
That is amazing. The historical part about the Shroud. I mean, it's a very interesting story regarding that, and it was just amazing to see that you put that into the story. Have you had people, like priests and other folks, question why that was used in your story, anything like that?
Yeah, so this is what I've done, Michael, on all my books. What I do is I use science fiction, but I take topics that people otherwise would not read about in nonfiction in order to attract those people that have a bias or that have their own beliefs against what I feel is the truth. So in the first book, I, mentioned things about extraterrestrials, appearances on Earth, interactions with humans, my own personal experiences, and so I attract people that were otherwise not read about, extraterrestrials and UFOs. And on this one, the same thing. I'm trying to attract atheists, non-Catholics, to learn about the Shroud. And when I presented that to a priest, actually, I was invited to the international conference on the Shroud of Turin in St. Louis, and that was in August. And I was there for 5 days going through, they were doing presentations, and they were presenting all of the facets that make the Shroud authentic. And I told the priest this, and he liked it to the point where he invited me to be a speaker next year.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Now, uh, from all those groups you were mentioning, which one is the most difficult ones to, help them understand what you're trying to get at? Is it the atheists or the Catholics?
Without question, I get the best, the strongest pushback, even the fiercest pushback from atheists, because my thoughts about spirituality, and of course the shroud. It it just goes against everything that they believe in. I mean, I feel atheism is a religion in itself, and so
Right.
they don't want to hear anything unless you have proof. My proof is in my meditations. I can't offer proof of what I meditated, just because it happens personally. But they're very headstrong about um, almost demonizing what I'm trying to explain about our relationship with the rest of the universe, how our spirituality is uh, uh, of a great importance to the rest of the universe, and now about the shroud, how I feel it really is authentic, and what actually caused the image on the shroud to appear.
Interesting. Now, the part with the aliens. What are people saying in regards to that?
Well, all right, so it's a very small part of the story, but it's significant because my hypothesis is this. Um, the It's a fact that the blood is special. Um,
Yes.
there are over 376 verses in the New Testament that mention the blood of Christ. I don't think that's an accident. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think there was something special about that they wanted to impart to us. Also, when they said that the blood of Christ will wash away the sins of the earth, well, in the first book, I state that our original sin is actually our DNA. It's our DNA that makes us violent, barbaric, have an irrational obsession with possessions, and being racist to the point of genocidal, which makes us a very feared species with the rest of, of the universal community, which is why we are under a universal quarantine. So the hypothesis is that, well, what if when they said that the blood will wash away the sins of the earth, why don't we take it literally? And if we could have in the future, we can harvest the DNA of Jesus and actually repair our own DNA to be like him.
Wow, that's a giant undertaking. That's for sure. To try to make it like him. I mean, there's no perfect human being than he was for sure, and still is.
Right. But if you take his DNA and we're able to work with DNA and do some repairs. Our genetic scientists are working on that. What if in the future we could actually do that and we could wipe away our original sin?
But what about you try to mimic that DNA, as you say, and it backfires and turns out to be not what we expected?
Well, here's the other thing, though. Um, so the other part of my hypothesis is that um, the malevolent extraterrestrials that exist, uh, they behave that way because they don't know what love is, and they can't even synthesize it. Love is a very big, major power in the universe. We don't understand it. We just think of it as what we write about in songs or in poems, but I feel that love is actually a power that we have that we're not using to the best of our ability. But the extraterrestrials know they use it because they're telepathic. So they use it in communication. When they see a craft and they don't know what the craft is, they telepathically communicate to it with a feeling of love. If they get back that response of love, they know it's a friendly. If they don't get the response, they know it's suspect because the bad guys don't know what love is. They can't respond to it. However, what if they want to come up with a weapon to synthesize love? They would have to use our DNA. But the trouble is that our DNA has a biological lock. They can't mess with it. However, what if they wanted to get Jesus' DNA and use that to make a weapon? that's what the story is about.
Interesting. Now, this agent that pretty much is in the Vatican trying to. Now, how did you come up with that character?
But the what?
The agent that is trying to undermine the Vatican. Now, how do you come up with him?
All right, so all of my books have what I call social voice. The first book, the characters kind of represented our world. I had a Hickory Apache woman. I had a black woman who was a lesbian. I had an autistic woman. So it was all about inclusion and diversity. At least that's one of the things that I also put in there. On this one, since it was about the Vatican, what I put in the story is the motive of the insider. And what it is the backstory is that when he was an acolyte, he was abused by a priest. And because of that, it affected him mentally. He went to depression. He couldn't make friends. And he decided to take revenge upon the church. And the way he
Hmm.
did it was he got into a deal with these malevolent creatures who wanted access to the shroud. Now, the important thing to understand, the fact is that there are what's called archons, and archons are interdimensional malevolent spirits. First book, I have a episode where it's based on who was attacked by an archon. He's a major officer in the army right now, and he's also spiritual and psychic. And he was attacked by an archon. And what happened is that he said, "In the name of Jesus, I command you to leave." And sure enough, that archon left. So these archons, they fear Jesus, and I feel also that they they are actually affected by his blood. They can't touch it, so they needed a human to steal the shroud. They couldn't do it themselves.
Interesting. Now, a book like this, would you have the fear of backlash from the Vatican should they someone read something like this? Just
Well,
curious.
here's the thing. There are some things that I point out that are perhaps negative, and I did get that from a couple reviewers who will put in their reviews that are I have that they will be in my book jacket for reviews. However, there is a chapter in there where um, the couple of main characters are asked to attend the Stations of the Cross during Lent. This is during Holy Thursday, and it's at the Colosseum, and the Pope is there, and the people are there, and all of the stations are, I guess, presented with families that have, like autistic children. There's a child that has Down syndrome. There's a family that were immigrants. There is a family of color. So I present the church in a very positive manner in that way. So it's not entirely besmirching the church. There are some elements, of course, that people are concerned about them keeping secrets and knowing certain things and keeping it from us. And I have that in there. But and it's a very secretive organization, and they are very powerful. And the Swiss Guard, they are, the well trained protectors and killers, really. So I have that in there, but it's not entirely negative.
Got you. Now, tell the audience why you chose that particular place in Italy. Why there?
Well, the Shroud of Turin actually is stored in Turin in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. and the Vatican, of course, is in Rome, so it just fit. And I was in Rome in 2006. I walked around there. I was in the Vatican, and I was very familiar with what I was writing about. I have books about the Vatican, um, and I was able to talk to people that also were there, so it just made sense.
Nice. Now, how long did it take you to complete this book?
I It took me about 30 months.
That's not bad. That's pretty good. So, what was your schedule like?
Oh, whenever I had time, really, 'cause, we're raising our 10-year-old grandson, and I have a full-time job, so I found time, and when I had the time, I didn't have any writer's block. I knew exactly what I was gonna write about, and,
Nice.
and then what happened was that this is the book that got the attention of the literary world, where,
Mm.
I got an editor, who also was an author. In fact, one of his books, is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because he is a ghostwriter for famous people, so his book was about the lead guitarist for Rod Stewart, and it's called "When We Were the Boys." And he took on my book, and he looked at it, he loved it, and then he passed it on to his publisher, and they loved it. And when they found out that I had two other books I had written, I got the contract for the three books,
Oh,
and so because of that, I republished the first one, and that was in that was in February, I believe, and um, and then this one was just published in September. The third one, which is actually the second one that I wrote, which is a prequel, will come out in March. So they really good editor. Fortunately, he passed away from cancer in October. His name was Robert Yelling, and real good guy. And it's because of him that I'm talking to you about this third book.
nice. Well, it definitely sounds like you're getting the attention you were looking for now for those books. So, and you got a hold of the right people. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, this book right now, it's on Goodreads. There's quite a few reviewers already. It's got a 4.92 rating out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Book one
Yeah.
and two, respectively, are the first and second rated books in spiritual sci-fi and Goodreads right now.
Spiritual sci-fi. I was going to ask you, yeah, what genre you have it in. That's very interesting. Now, what's the most interesting feedback you've gotten from those readers?
You cut out a little bit. Can you repeat that?
What is the most interesting feedback you've received from one of those
Oh,
reviewers?
um, let's see. Well, most of the reviewers like the suspense. They enjoy all of the twists and turns. They like the surprises on both books actually. Um, I get I get feedback that people preferred the first book because of all the characters and because of the travel across country, and also it's a spiritual journey. But people also like the second one because of just the change of pace and how there were so many things that they did not expect based on reading the first book. There's a lot of things that would surprise you, that kind of takes it out of the box.
Interesting. So, out of the two, which one you favor more?
I like the second one the most, probably because um, everything is from my own imagination and my own hypothesis, my own research. The first one could be an autobiography, so it was very easy to write. All the characters were based on real people. This one, I had to make everything up.
Gotcha. I was going to ask you how much of you is in the story.
The second one, nothing. The first one, the main character is based on myself, but he doesn't appear on this first one. However, I am writing a fourth one right now,
Ah,
and he will appear in the fourth one.
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, the fourth
So,
one is,
how many pages we're talking about on this one?
what's that?
How many pages we're talking about on the
In
Salvation?
fact, it's shorter than the first one. So I've got the book in front of me. It's just over 200.
That's not too bad. Now, is there any illustrations in there?
No, nothing.
No. Got you. Now, who published the book for you?
It's by Right Away Books out of Carlsbad, California.
Gotcha. And who edited for you again?
That was Bob Yelling, and then later on, my publisher, which is Pen and Publish, she has a great editor that really to a A plus, literary work, and without her, I don't think it would get as much acclaim from people.
Nice. So, what's the most interesting thing you learned when writing this book, if any?
I have yet to experience writer's block.
Ah,
Um, I I don't. I read people that do that, and I don't understand. Perhaps they don't understand that they don't need to be critical of their work in the first place, because when you have writer's block, it's based on self doubt, and if you just put in your mind that what you put on paper is not going to be what people are going to read, but it's a work in progress, and you just put whatever comes to your mind on paper, you're not going to have writer's block. You go back, you read it, you refine it, you keep refining it. You may change some things, but don't ever stop writing.
thanks for saying that because I've been having my troubles and I keep using the excuse of writer's block, but I think it's just laziness because you can always write something, even if it's less than 100 words, but you can always write something as you say and then correct it later, if it doesn't fit the story.
Yeah, and always, if you're a writer, always keep a you know a notebook with you wherever you go, in your car, where you work, by your bed. Ideas will come to you when you least expect it, and they're good ideas, or they maybe not, but at least put them down, and then you can review them and see if you want to insert them in your book.
Nice. What's your family think about your writing?
Oh, they're supporting me. And not only they're supporting me, but they're reading it, and that's kind of nice to know.
Yeah, that's always pretty cool. Having the family support is awesome. Um,
Yeah.
so do you have suggestions to help authors like me or others to become better at the craft?
Yeah. First thing is that it has to come from the heart. You don't write because you want to make money. You write for a reason. My reason is altruistic. It's about informing the public. It's about making them think. My books are thought provoking, consistently, and I want the people to think beyond the paradigm that they live in. And so, as a writer, um, every writer has a mission, be true to that mission.
Nice. So, when you're writing a story, how soon should you get the reader hooked from the beginning, like the first paragraph,
Oh, absolutely.
right at the beginning?
Absolutely. First, yep,
Gotcha.
yep,
Some people say
absolutely.
people
Not
say
only
like the
that,
second
but
page.
here's another like advice for new writers. Um, Readers like to have the impression of progress when they read. So make the first 2-3 chapters kind of short, so that they experience you know the satisfaction of having progress.
Now, when you say progress, explain to them what you mean by that.
And actually, going through the book, reading the book. If you write a first chapter that is long, there's there's a there's a fatigue that sets in. There's also a frustration of not getting to the end. But
Yeah,
if you give them a short first chapter that has a good punch, that introduces the rest of the book, um, I think you'll find better success that way.
should you should the reader expect like a little cliffhanger just to prepare them for the next paragraph, next page? What?
I always end each chapter with a cliffhanger that would give them a hint of what happens next in the next chapter.
Nice. That's pretty cool. So, which part of a story is most difficult for you? The beginning, the middle, or the end?
Um, on this one, I knew how it was going to begin, and I really didn't know how it was going to end. I had different endings uh, early on, and that's because how when I knew it was, the shroud was going to be saved, but what happens after that? What is the aftermath?
Right.
And so, because it's such an important relic in Catholicism, it had to involve some high level people about things. So I involved the Pope in there. I have the chief of staff talking to Robert Ladd, who helped save the shroud, and they compare notes, and Ladd tells him some secrets, and Ladd questions him on certain things that he found out. And then the chief of staff, who's a cardinal, kind of gets antsy and realizes that this guy knows a lot more than the cardinal is comfortable with, that kind of thing. So that was probably the difficult part. The other part, it wasn't difficult. It's just it took a lot of time, and it was enjoyable because I felt I was learning as I was doing research. Was the episode where it involves a gas attack and treatment for not a gas, nerve agent, and treatment for nerve agent, and how someone would actually be treated for nerve agent. Looking at again, I use a lot of stuff that has happened. So in 2018, the Russians attacked 2 British spies with nerve agent, and it caused them to go in a coma. And I use that in this book. And then the other part was, how was I going to explain to the reader all of the facts behind the shroud that would satisfy Joseph Marino's interest in ensuring that I get his endorsement. So I did a lot of research, again through the papers that Joe sent me, about all of the things that authenticate the shroud: botany, forensics, blood science, history, archaeology, art history, all that stuff, and it's all presented there in a manner where the scientists and researchers are talking to the characters who want to solve the crime, and in a conversation, one by one, they explain why the shroud is authentic.
Interesting. I got Lala71 here, Lorraine Carey. Hey, Lorraine, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Yes, your book sounds very interesting, and I think I'm going to pick it up because I have always been interested in anything that has to do with the shroud. Anything.
Oh. Well, you will find, I think there are a lot of facts in there that are very little known. For example, the image was made because there was a radiological event. In other words, radiation caused the image. When Jesus did his resurrection, it was a radiological event. And the proof is that that image was made by only surfaces of the fibrils of the flax on that linen, whereas the blood saturated the linen. So that explains the image. And when people say that the image was painted on, no, because paint would saturate the linen. This was not a saturation.
Interesting. And then the blood, they said that it was, I don't know, there's different theories on that. They said that the blood was actually non-human. Is that correct?
The interesting thing about blood is that when it is old, the forensics will tell you that it shows up as AB positive regardless of the type. However, when they did the test on this, it wasn't exactly AB positive. There was something else to it, which proved that it was not entirely human.
So interesting. Yeah. It's all mysterious, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it explains that this Jesus was not entirely human. His resurrection actually happened. He did exist.
Yes.
But you know, my book kind of goes into, well, why was he really sent, killed? And you know, it kind of it goes a little against of what Catholicism is teaching, because I have my doubts still. I'm not a Catholic. I'm a spiritualist. So my angle deeper.
Right.
That's a very interesting way of looking at it. That's for sure. Wow, that's pretty cool. You have another question, Lala?
Yeah, I was going to say too, Paul. And Paul, have you been to the Vatican?
Yes, I have. It's really some amazing stuff in there. There's some very interesting sculptures there. There is a sculpture about 4 feet high in bronze, which is a pine cone. Now, people would ask, well, why would you have a pine cone in the middle of a courtyard in the Vatican? Well, the pine cone, I think, is symbolic of our pineal gland, which is used in meditation, the spiritual receiver, which is the link to our spirit. So I think that's one of the clues that they give us.
It's also interesting. It just, yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Hey, Cindy, how you doing? Nice to have you here. You got a question for our guest?
Hey, doing good. How about y'all?
Doing great.
Doing good, Cindy.
This is interesting. As Michael says, interesting.
Do you have a question for our guest?
Huh?
Do you have a question for our guest?
Yeah, I kind of came in right about the time he was talking about. I was wondering what the connection was to his story with the Down syndrome and autism. Is that part of the book, or what was that connection? I think I missed that.
Yeah. Hi, Cindy. I have the two of the characters that are involved in a investigation, and they are being assisted by Rome Interpol, and the chief is a Catholic, and he invites them to go to the Colosseum during Lent. This is during Holy Thursday. And during Holy Thursday in Rome at the Colosseum, they actually act out the Stations of the Cross. So some, every station has a different family. And so there was a family with an autistic child. There was a family with a person with Down syndrome. There was a family of immigrants. There was a family that had people of color. So I want to show how the Catholic Church still maintains inclusion and acceptance of everyone on earth, not just, whites, for example.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Sounds interesting. I'm going to check that out. I had a brother. Well, he's still my brother. He's in heaven. He's got Down syndrome. And my mom was a teacher for handicapped children and taught autism and Down syndrome, things like that. So that kind of got my attention, I guess.
My
And
first
then
book had
the whole story.
a main character that and it's based on a real woman who is a artistic savant. So there's a chapter in there about that woman too in the first book.
Cool. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Very interesting.
Autism.
Lorraine, you got a question?
I was gonna say, yeah, and as a lifelong teacher myself, I've had and I have a grandson who is an autistic savant, and let me tell you, they're very special special people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a guy with autism, and he's so sweet, and just they particular though.
Oh yes, very much so.
So, Paul, what do you think makes a great story?
Wow. Well, I would say strong characters, a engaging plot, a storyline that people can relate to, understandable, and that covers current topics that people have an interest in.
Yep, I agree.
I agree too.
I love to read, so you just hit all that.
So, which character in any one of those two books that you have there, you focus on the most, or you really, felt close to in the stories?
You cut out a little bit. Can you?
Is there a character there that really that you like the most, that you really enjoyed talking about him or her in the stories?
Well, the main character, Louis Savani, is based on me. So that's, I guess, that was easy to do. But in the second book, in Salvation, I guess because I'm a veteran and because I've done a lot of like exercises with the military for 13 years, and I still work with the military. Robert Ladd, who is a former Ranger, has PTSD, and is a reformed alcoholic. And he's got his weaknesses. He's not a Superman. I like him, and people will find him likable as well because he's got good ethics, and he's courageous. Someone told him in the book, you're a very courageous man, and he replies, well, it's easy to be courageous when you don't know the risks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right about that. How would you describe the dialogue or the tone of the dialogue in your story?
Dialogue?
Yeah, if any, yes.
So it's written as as natural as possible. The one thing that I do is I well, first of all, I write a lot of narrative because that's my job, and so when I first wrote this book, my editor, Bob, noticed that I wrote a lot of narrative where he recognized that I wrote about people saying things, and he said, "You know what? You need to actually write down the words that these people are saying, because when you do that, you actually reinforce their characters. You can actually show the reader what kind of person they are by the words that they're saying and how they're saying it." So I've taken that to heart, and I've strengthened each character through the kinds of words that they say.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
that
Lorraine,
is
you got a final question?
Yeah, I was asking him, dialogue really, can be tricky. And, I think if you make it more realistic, people can relate. But when you're writing, I write the paranormal and supernatural. I have to use like almost supernatural terms. And maybe people go, well, what are they talking about? But because it goes with the theme of the book. So I think it has to also fit in, with what your genre is, right?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. So the novel occurs in Italy, and you have Italians there, but
Right.
some Italians can speak English. So in order to reinforce who is speaking, whenever they say the name of a place or the name of something that has an Italian meaning, I actually write out the name of that place in Italian when it's saying something about that place. I use it, and that's how I reinforce for the reader who is speaking, making sure that they understand that the person is really Italian.
Yes,
Nice.
that's good. Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
Cindy, you
Yeah.
got a final question?
Well, yeah, when all three of y'all are authors, so I guess y'all could all answer this. When y'all are writing books, and never how many books you have, do y'all feel like that there's a bit of each one of you in it, or is it just certain ones that's a part of you in it, or not
Well,
at all?
Paul said, as he said, yeah, it's part of it's in
Yeah.
there depending on the story. I know a lot of me is in my stories, but again, a lot of them comes from my dreams. So
So would you say all is a part of you is in pretty much every? Because I've read all your books.
pretty
My,
much a part of it, a bit here, a bit there. Yeah, it's in there.
yeah.
Paul
Okay.
said he said the first book, lots of
Was
them was in there. I don't know about the
That's
second.
what made me think of the question when he said that. I was like, well, I wonder how
Yeah,
many's in.
What
yeah.
say you, Paul?
You also you write what you know, and
Yeah. Okay.
it's I was born in Italy. I was born in Trieste, and
Yeah.
so I was born in an Italian Catholic family.
Mhm.
So it was very easy to take that information and put it in this book.
Yeah. Okay.
So you do have the knowledge. Okay, you got a half Italian here. I find
Yeah. You're.
yeah, and most of my books, because I've had paranormal events almost my whole life.
Mhm.
Cindy, I'm mostly all my
Pretty much
characters
all of them.
reflect all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Italiana, yeah, Italiana,
yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love
So,
it.
Paul, how can people find you?
I have a great website. It's www.thedisclosureparadox.com, all one word. And there you could also subscribe. My books are available through not only Amazon, Barnes and Noble. If you have a favorite bookstore, please support them. And you can go to them. It's in Ingram, so you can go to the counter and say that you'd like to order this book, and it'll be there in 3 days. And in that website, you can read about the first book. You can read excerpts, reviews, the descriptions of the characters, the preface. You could read about the foreword, Joe Marino on this book there. And as I start to go through and put together stuff for the third book, which I've written already as a second book, it was a prequel, but my publisher wants to release it in March. I'll be putting stuff out for that one too. And on the fourth one, which I'm just starting on, imagine all of the questions that people may have about what happened to characters in book 1 and book 2, and the questions being answered, and then it's going to involve the Hadron Collider.
Ah,
Wow.
all right. Look forward to that. You have any groups you follow, Paul?
Yeah, well, I follow the Shroud group on Facebook. There's quite a few paranormal groups that I follow. I have my own group. It's called the Disclosure Paradox. The discussions about Disclosure Paradox, and in it we don't just talk about the books, but we talk about UFOs, sightings. We share stuff. We talk about any of the topics that are covered in my books. We even talk about bioelectromagnetics, which telepathy and psychic stuff, remote viewing, all that stuff is in there. And I've got about
definitely gonna have to go there.
395 members right now.
Oh
Nice.
my,
All right, it's
wonderful.
growing, that's for sure. Well, you'll definitely have a couple more members going in there. I'll probably join you.
Yeah. Paul, what's the name of the group again? If you would say, what is the name of that group again on Facebook?
Discussions about the Disclosure Paradox.
Discussions about. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it was awesome to have you back, Paul. And you said the other book, what, in March?
Yeah, it's going to be called What Doesn't Kill Her. It's a prequel about one of the characters in book 1 and 2. She has telepathic abilities. She's able to take energy and repel it. She's able to see energy waves like sonar sees things in the water. And it's all about her origins and how she learned to use her abilities, and all of the characters that were trying to either kidnap her or kill her. And it's based on a true story, the real person.
Wow. Oh, I've
That's
got to
awesome.
check that one out.
Yeah. Well, Paul, it was awesome having you back, and I'm going to bring you back around, say, March or so when that book is in.
You
What say
bet.
you?
All
All
right.
right. Sounds good. I really enjoyed it. Thanks,
Yes,
man. I appreciate
thank
it.
you, Paul. Thank you. Been very interesting.
Thanks for thanks for your interest. I appreciate it.
No problem. Wow, that Paul, he was pretty cool. All right, you have a good one, Paul, and I'll be sending you this audio very shortly.
All right, great.
Thank you. Have a great day, sir.
Thanks. Have a great day, everyone. Bye now.
Thanks, Lala. Thanks, Cindy, for coming in. I really appreciate it. Wow, that Paul Beckett, he's cool.
Always.
Yes, interesting story. So yeah, check him out. Check him out on Amazon and all those other sites he mentioned. The Disclosure Paradox: Salvation by Paul Beckett. Wow, very interesting. And yes, I'm definitely going to bring him back. So yeah, check him out, support his work, and I think it's a great story. Wow, that's pretty cool. So anyway, it was a great show, and again, I want to thank Paul Beckett for coming in to talk about his work, The Disclosure Paradox: Salvation, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, I'll be checking out a little more, see if I could join his group. Want to learn more about his work, what his starts are, and all that other good stuff. And it was a great show. I want to thank everyone for listening in. I want to thank Lala, 71, Lala, Lorraine Carey. I want to thank Cindy for coming in and for asking those great questions. It was pretty cool. And again, I want to thank again Paul Beckett for coming in. It was nice to have him again. I'll definitely bring him back. The Disclosure Parallax Salvation. Anyway, it's been a great show, and it's been a nice morning so far. But you know what I say? Don't forget your coffee. Have a great day.